Welcome to part 2 of our Hebrew adventure, where we are decoding everyday Hebrew writing that you'll encounter in Israel and beyond. In part 1, we covered the geresh, an important Hebrew mark that enables you to read and understand short forms of Hebrew words, and not only, from addresses to titles and more. If you haven't watched part 1, I highly recommend clicking on the top screen link, catching up on all that we learned in part 1, and then coming back to further your knowledge with this part 2. Today, we dive into the other super common Hebrew mark that is kept a secret by too many Hebrew curriculum programs for no good reason, as it is a vital part of Hebrew writing that you'll see everywhere and all over Israel, from road signs to classrooms and beyond. This sign is called gershayim, gershayim, and by learning it in today's video, you'll uncover the secrets of Israelis and local Hebrew speakers, allowing you to navigate your way through Hebrew-speaking environments with ease. My name is Inbal, and I help English speakers learn and love Hebrew. You can find all my resources, programs, free guides, and more on my website, HebrewByInbal.com, which you can find below in the description. The gershayim is the plural form of geresh in Hebrew, which makes sense since it looks like two apostrophe signs put together. We have 6 common uses of the gershayim that make it easier for us to recognize and understand their purpose. And once you did, will transform your orientation in reading anything in Hebrew-speaking environments. First, just like the geresh, the gershayim can be used for abbreviation. Formally, some Hebrew words need to be shortened using the gershayim, which will appear before the last letter of the abbreviated word, unlike the geresh that appears at the end of the word. Examples that are so common they are everywhere include the Israeli currency, shach, short for shkalim chadashim, which literally means new shekels, from shkalim chadashim to the abbreviated form of shach, with the gershayim before the last letter of the word. This example of shach is one of the cases where the word is abbreviated not only in writing, but also in speech. So it is very common to say shach as another option for shekel or shkalim in plural. Let's see more examples of super common abbreviations using the gershayim sign, which are used in both writing and in speech. Not only that, but these abbreviations that we're going to see now are actually more commonly used in their shortened form in everyday speech than in their full form. Chul is the abbreviation for the word abroad in Hebrew, chutz la'aretz, used to refer to foreign countries outside of Israel, and literally means chutz la'aretz, outside of the country, pronounced chul in its abbreviated form. Ba'am is abbreviation for be'eravon mugbal, limited company or LTD in Hebrew, pronounced ba'am. Tzahal, the abbreviation form for tzva hagana leIsrael, Israel Defense Forces, also known as the IDF. Sakum, abbreviation for cutlery, composed of sakin, knife, kaf, spoon, and mazleg, fork, which is how you would ask for some cutlery in Israel. Unlike other examples, this one is said in its abbreviated form only. Can I have some cutlery, please? Would be efshar sakum bevakasha. Rashi is abbreviation for Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, a medieval French rabbi and scholar known for his extensive commentary on the Bible and the Talmud. Zal is abbreviation for Zichrono Livracha, for male, or Zichrona Livracha, for female. May their memory be blessed, in Hebrew, used to show respect for someone who has passed away and after mentioning the name of a deceased person. Tanakh is abbreviation for Hebrew Bible, in Hebrew, the canonical collection of Hebrew scriptures, including the Torah, represented by the letter Tav, Nevi'im, represented by the letter Nun, and ktuvim, represented by the letter chaf, chaf sofit, at the end of the word. Torah, Nevi'im, Ktuvim, abbreviated by the word Tanakh. Chak is the abbreviation for Chaver Knesset, which is masculine for member of Knesset in Hebrew, referring to a member of the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. Common abbreviations that are in writing only and are not used in speech are the abbreviated form for kilometer, kilometer, in Hebrew, representing distance in the metric system used in Israel. The abbreviated form is composed of the letters Kof and Mem, and we have the gershayim before the last letter. You can also see that in some cases of an abbreviated form, a letter that would change at the end of the word does not change, but in some cases it does. So in the case of kilometer, the letter Mem that would change in form at the end of the word does not change. But as we saw in the case of the word Tanakh, the letter Chaf is a Chaf Sofit, changing its form because it is located at the end of the word. Doctor, which is doctor in Hebrew as well, is abbreviated by the letters Dalet, Resh, used for both MD medical professionals and PhD academic degree graduates. The abbreviation for school, Beit Sefer, in Hebrew is represented by the letters Bet, Yod, Samech, and the gershayim before the last letter. In the plural or feminine form of words that are abbreviated using gershayim, the gershayim sign retains its original position, which is before the last letter of the word in its singular masculine form. This is followed by an added suffix to indicate the plural or feminine form. So we will see the gershayim sign stay put in the same place as it was in the singular form of the word. Let's see some examples to make it super clear. We said that chak is the abbreviated singular form for Chaver Knesset, member of the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. In plural masculine form, members of the Knesset who are male would be chakim. The gershayim sign stays put in the same place as it was in the singular form of the word, and the yod mem sufit suffix for plural masculine is added after. In plural feminine form of members of the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, it would be chakiot. The gershayim sign stays put in the same place as it was in the singular form of the word, and the yod vav tav suffix for plural feminine, in this case, is added after the gershayim sign. Ramatkal is chief of staff, abbreviation for Rosh Mate Klali, the commander-in-chief of the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces. A female chief of staff would be Ramatkalit. The gershayim stays put, and the suffix for feminine of Yod Tav is added after. Plural masculine chiefs of staff, commanders-in-chief, would be Ramatkalim. And plural feminine, female chiefs of staff, would be Ramatkaliot. Speaking of the IDF, in the Israeli army, everything is abbreviated. That's right, from ranks to divisions, no word is safe from getting shortened. It's a language all its own, and anyone who served in the IDF, like yours truly, knows that abbreviations are a way of life in the IDF. The same rule applies for derived adjectives of certain entities that use gershayim in their abbreviations. This means that the gershayim sign remains in its original position even in derived adjectives. Let's see an example. If Tzahal is the abbreviated form for the IDF, Tzehali is anything that is army-related, army-like, or related to the army. If we want to say army logic, we would say Higayon Tzehali. And we see that the gershayim stays put in its original location, like we saw before, with an added suffix of yod, indicating that we're talking about army-like or army-based. In this case, army logic. Tanakh is the Hebrew Bible. Tanachi refers to anything that is Bible-related, Bible-like, related to the Hebrew Bible. If you're in Israel and you hear the term biblical sandals, or in Hebrew, sandalim tanachim, or sandalim Tanachiot, the next minute will transform you from a clueless tourist to one who can confidently say, "Sure, I know what that is." In Israel, a very common way of calling sandals that have two white stripes and kind of look like sandals that people would wear in biblical times is sandalim tanachim or sandalim tanachiot. Because the word sandals is masculine in Hebrew, the right way to say it in plural is sandalim tanachim. But actually, the more common way you will probably hear in Hebrew and in Israel is sandalim tanachiot, the plural suffix for sandals if the word was feminine in Hebrew. In both cases, we see the gershayim staying put before the added suffix for plural, masculine, or feminine. Now you know how to ask for chic biblical sandals in Israel and how to read any sign that offers them for a sale that you cannot miss out on. Speaking of mistakes, when it comes to abbreviations in Hebrew, there are a lot of different ways to indicate them, as you may have noticed by now, and mistakes are common. It is not uncommon to see a mix-up between using the geresh and the gershayim. Another mistake that is not uncommon is the use of dots, similar to the abbreviation that we see in English in the P.O. box. According to the Academy of the Hebrew Language, you should not abbreviate Hebrew words using dots. Mailbox in Hebrew is tevat doar. It is more commonly abbreviated using dots, like this, than the proper way, which is using gershayim. As a Hebrew learner, the important thing to focus on is understanding the different types of abbreviations, recognizing them, and what they indicate. Even native Hebrew speakers sometimes make mistakes, so don't worry too much about getting it right every time. If you see a Hebrew word with letters separated by dots, know that it's an incorrect way to express abbreviation. Another common one is the Hebrew or Jewish rest in peace. Tehi nishmato tzrura b'tzror hachayim, which literally means may his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting love, which we can see on Jewish tombstones. The proper way to abbreviate it would be using gershayim, but we will see it abbreviated using dots in between each letter, like this. We also see it quite often with names of authors, like in the case of Aleph Bet Yoshua, Avraham Bet Yoshua. The proper way to abbreviate one letter is using the geresh, and two letters using gershayim, like this, not using dots. But it is common, and so we learn it so that you know what it means and what it represents when you come across it. Now you know more about abbreviating Hebrew words than most Israelis and native Hebrew speakers out there. It's your secret weapon to impress your Israeli friends and family and show off your Hebrew skills. Just wait for the perfect moment to drop some Hebrew abbreviation knowledge and watch their jaws drop in amazement. The geresh we focused on in part 1 of this series and the gershayim both have more uses than just abbreviating words. They're also commonly used in Hebrew dates in the Hebrew Jewish calendar. Instead of numbers, Hebrew days of the month are represented by letters, with a geresh sign after a single letter and a gershayim sign in between two letters. And when it comes to grades, first grade is Kita Aleph with a geresh at the end, and 12th grade is Kita Yudbet with a gershayim in between the two letters. And here comes the common mistake in this domain. When it comes to marking Bible verses, pages, and line numbers indicated by Hebrew letters, the Academy of the Hebrew Language states that they should all be written without any mark, not a geresh and not a gershayim. In practice, you will see both used in all these cases. And what we want is to be able to understand and identify what is done in practice. So now not only are you an expert in Hebrew abbreviations, but also a pro at understanding Hebrew dates and grades. Do not forget your secret weapon for impressing your Israeli friends and family whenever you want to. Remember the use of the geresh in English and non-Hebrew words and forms of writing? Very similarly, the gershayim is also used when translating non-Hebrew abbreviations, like the YMCA, translated into Yod Mem Kof Aleph, We can also see it with UNESCO, translated into UNESCO in Hebrew. When the original language is Arabic, though, and not English, the correct way to write the translated abbreviation is without gershayim, but you will see this one often used incorrectly as well. Commonly, the PLO is written in Hebrew with gershayim, Fatah, which is incorrect, while Hamas is usually written the correct way, Hamas, without gershayim. And our final use of the gershayim is to indicate the Hebrew alphabet, which, unlike the English alphabet, has letter names. For instance, Aleph is the equivalent to the letter A. In Hebrew, the letter name of A is Aleph. To differentiate between Aleph as a letter name and an actual word, it should be written with gershayim, like this. This can be confusing for new learners, which is why many Hebrew curriculum resources do not include the gershayim sign for letter names, as do I. However, if you come across it, now you know what it means. That is it. You have just added another powerful tool to your Hebrew arsenal. Not only are you ready to impress your Israeli friends and family with your knowledge of the gerish and the gershayim, next time you see a sign with these mysterious symbols, you will know exactly what they mean. And if someone asks you what sakum or chak means, you can confidently tell them. Join me next week for part 3 of our Hebrew sign reading series as we unveil the final 2 super crucial Hebrew marks. If you want to make sure you don't miss it, subscribe and hit the bell next to it and go to HebrewByInbal.com. Link is in the description. Join my mailing list, which means that I will send you all this good stuff and so much more to your inbox. Like this video and share it with others who would love to read Hebrew like natives as well. Write me in the comments your thoughts and your questions about this video and click here for the perfect video to watch right after this one. Toda and shalom.